Hello YouTube. So, story comes out 3 days ago, I think it was. It was front page of the New York Times. Charles M. Smith, the Army official who managed the KBR contract in Iraq, which is the largest Pentagon contract to date, has come out this week and said that he was fired by the Bush administration for refusing to pay $1 billion in questionable charges to Kellogg, Brown & Root, KBR, because they couldn't account for where the money went. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen Robert Greenwald's movie, Iraq for Sale, The War Profiteers. It came out a couple of years ago. It was a pretty controversial movie. But this basically, Charles M. Smith, this guy who worked for the Pentagon and whose job was to oversee the contractors in Iraq, right? Him coming out and saying, oh yeah, by the way guys, you know, he was fired in 2004, so a couple of years later he comes out and he says, yeah guys, look, I was fired because I did my job. Right? This guy comes out and he says, look, KBR, you guys have $1 billion worth of stuff that you can't account for. It's not in your records. There's no trace of where the money is. And you want $1 billion from the American taxpayers? Are you fucking kidding me? You know what? Go fuck yourself. We're going to slap some big penalties on you if you don't get your act together. And by the way, you're not getting that $1 billion. So that's what this guy says, right? And what happens? The Bush administration fires him. Boy, oh boy, if that's not open corruption, I don't know what is. The guy literally did his job. He got fired for doing his job. His job was to oversee the contractors in Iraq. He oversaw the contractors in Iraq and got fired because of it. Look, this is what he said, quote, they had a gigantic amount of costs they couldn't justify. Ultimately, the money that was going to KBR was money being taken away from the troops, and I wasn't going to do that. Now, why does he say that? Because the same money that pays our troops is the same money that goes to these contractors in Iraq. These people have cost-plus contracts, which means that the more money they spend, the more money they make. Right? And they could charge whatever the fuck they want to charge for anything because they're basically a monopoly in Iraq. Right? They got their contracts through no-bid contracts, meaning 40 corporations or 40 businesses could apply to the government and say, yeah, look, we want to go to Iraq, we want to help out the troops, we want to do our thing, right? But the government ignored the 39 other corporations and companies and businesses that said, look, we want to help you, and they said, no, the job's filled. We already, KBR, we picked them. There's no bid. That's what that means. It goes right to KBR, right? Now, a lot of you may be wondering, why does it go right to KBR? Well, the government hasn't actually come out and said why, but it's pretty easy to tell because Halliburton is a subsidiary company of Kellogg, Brown & Root, KBR, right? And Dick Cheney used to be the CEO of Halliburton, so he has a lot of friends over there, right? Now, maybe that's one of the main reasons why this guy, Charles M. Smith, got fired for, you know, buckling down on these guys. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But here's the thing that's really scary to me, okay? This guy gets fired for telling them, look, $1 billion you can't account for. We're not going to stand for that, okay? That's what he gets fired for. So do you think there is anybody who will be able to bring up the facts that I'm about to mention right now that won't get slapped down because of it? It costs $45 in Iraq for a soldier to get a six-pack of Coke. $45 American money. You could get that shit for like $4 here, $5, something like that. But why can they do it? Just like I said, they're a monopoly in Iraq. They could charge whatever they want to charge. And who's covering the costs? You are. The American taxpayers. It's coming right out of your pocket. Look, and this was another thing that really just made my blood boil, and Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, whatever you are, this is going to make your blood boil too. Look, 67 water treatment plants that Halliburton was providing, right, the subsidiary of KBR, out of 67 of them, 63 weren't providing safe water for our troops. Now, what does that mean? It means that there is no chlorine in the water. And when you do that, parasites like cryptosporidium and malaria and things like that develop. And pathogens get into the blood of our troops. And a lot of them will get sick. And a lot of them won't even know why. Because Halliburton won't even come out and tell them that the water that they're providing is not safe. They burn brand new big rigs that they're using to deliver. Companies like KBR and Halliburton are using to deliver from point A to point B. Let's say a big rig gets a flat tire. Burn it. Destroy it. Blow it up. Why? Because you could just get a new one. Because the taxpayers are covering it. So instead of changing the tire, blow it up. Where in God's name is the outrage? I can't imagine what more it would take to get people to start fucking speaking up about this shit. Look, to a certain extent, I do blame the American people for sitting back and this stuff is happening and we're all doing nothing, right? We're all watching our reality shows. But on the other hand, it's not only the Americans' fault, it's the fucking press's fault. Because this article was in the New York Times. I didn't hear a word about it on MSNBC, not a word about it on CNN, not a word about it on any of the major networks, right? This is huge news. A guy got fired for doing his job, for trying to account for $1 billion of taxpayers' money that was lost, and nobody cares. It's scary. It's fucking scary. Look, I really don't know what else to say. I hope I'm striking a nerve out there with some of you guys. Do something. Do something. Thanks for watching. This is Secular Talk.